Stay calm while I tell you what's happening. Glenn Youngkin is a piece of shit. There might be a shakeup at the Department of Homeland Security. But here's what media is not telling you, because most journalists and media don't know how government works. Now, this article here that I wrote when Kristi Noem was nominated, so before any of this happened, talks about something called deliberate vacancies. This was a letter to Congress where I say they're going to use deliberate vacancies. And that is because in government, there is a secession order for basically everything. And part of the way Project 2025 and conservatives work, like I said, a function of a system is what that system does, is they will put people into appointments temporarily, but they will plan the secession line well in advance. I just came across a video of Joey, he does news, and he was talking about how there's been a long secession plan for the Trump administration, and I wanted to throw my phone because I've been telling people about this for a very long time. Troy Edgar is about as bad as they get, and he is next in line to take over the Department of Homeland Security, and this is really, 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 really fucking important because not a single media outlet, not one creator, nobody is telling people that it doesn't matter who Trump appoints. What matters is that they can create what I call a deliberate vacancy in order for him to come into that role. No matter who's appointed, we need to know and have the foresight to see that that is who comes in as the acting director of the Department of Homeland Security. And part of why we have women in some of these roles is because the point is to take down that department or merge it with another. What we're seeing happening is DHS is going to merge with the Department of Defense or War. That's part of why we're changing names too, to create this ambiguity. And this is really important because both of these departments have law enforcement capabilities. And in law enforcement, there are two things that are really important. That is jurisdiction and chain of command, basically. And what makes this particularly terrifying is Troy Edgar is married to an Iranian woman. Now, understand that if I refer to somebody as Iranian and they're from Iran and I don't refer to them as Persian, that is a deliberate choice. This does signify to me, as I've mentioned previously, that there is going to be more conflict in Iran. And I said that if you, and it's going to be confusing because as you see Iranian people come into this administration, we just saw another Iranian appointment. This is not great, but here's where it gets really fucking bad. Our current ambassador to El Salvador is Bill Duncan. Again, total piece of shit, very close with Bukele. Donald Trump just appointed Troy Edgar 2 weeks ago to this role. It is very possible that we are going to have a pro-war, uber wealthy radical that is both our acting DHS secretary. And if you come into that role through succession, it does, what Senate says doesn't matter. So they'll do this on purpose and appoint somebody that could never get it or delay the Senate. We could very easily have an acting DHS director that is also the ambassador to El Salvador. And one thing that is very difficult about understanding government intricately and approaching journalism and research that way is that there are certain stories that you can't get out in a way that people are going to understand how bad that is. But understand that when I learned about this appointment, it definitely made me cry. Very bad.